What is up, you guys? Happy Friday. Hope you guys are having a fabulous week so far and have some fun plans for this weekend. But we have a very important topic today, and it's something that we have talked about in the past. We will continue to talk about it in the future, and I will never stop talking about it because it's that important. If you've
Yeah.
had a discovery call or anything like that with me, you know I harp on metabolism as being like that long-term that thing that's going to make that permanent transformation. It's going to make it way easier to attain the results that you're working so hard for. And so today we're talking about why it is so important for you to one, remember to eat and eating a consistent amount of food throughout the day, week, things like that. Just because of how much it does affect your metabolism. So we're going to dive into kind of all the nitty gritty. There's other things that it's going to affect also that we're going to touch on as well, like your cognitive function, your energy, mood swings, things like that. But the biggest one I do want to harp on is the metabolism aspect because that's something that we hear so frequently. Like how often would you say we hear like, "Oh, my metabolism's broken. I just put on weight so easy." Like it's just,
Pretty often, and I feel like a lot of times it comes in different forms too.
oh
Like they say
yeah,
that, or they're like, "Oh yeah, like no matter what I do, I can't seem to lose weight," or "I've been doing all the right things and I'm not losing weight," and just yeah, different ways to say the same thing.
exactly. And if you've ever said this to yourself and didn't realize that you're actually talking about your metabolism, this is for you. This is going to help you understand. So we'll just kind of dive into that one first, and then we'll finish off with the other things that not eating enough or remembering to eat will affect. But specifically with your metabolism, if you've never heard of metabolic adaptation, this is what I really want to kind of harp on for a second. And we do have another training on metabolic adaptation specifically. If you want that, I will throw the link on the Facebook page here soon. But I'm going to share my screen just to kind of walk through what metabolic adaptation is and how it affects your body. So, looking here, it's essentially when you're eating less calories and your body adapts to that number of calories, aka metabolic adaptation. So, say we start here at 2,000 calories, okay, and we want to go into a cut to where we're seeing a decent amount of weight loss. So, 500 calorie deficit, which is a pretty normal deficit that a lot of people go into because they hear the number of 3,500 calories a week is 1 pound a week, essentially. So, that's where they get that 3,500, 500 negative calories a day is 3,500 in 7 days. Um, so say we're here, cool. Our calorie deficit results with like the weight loss are continuously also going down because as you eat less calories, your body is learning to function on those less calories. So your basal metabolic rate, how many calories your body burns to sit here and watch this call, lay in bed, your heart pumping blood through your veins, digesting food, all of those things are going to slow down to meet the needs that you're giving it, just because our bodies want to survive. This is maybe is where you hear like, oh, my body's in survival mode. People have like said that before. This is kind of the same thing that they're talking about here. So then, whenever we get to a point where eventually you're going to hit a plateau, because eventually the numbers that you're consuming is being met with that metabolism that once was up here is now down here. So therefore, then you're eating at your maintenance level, actually, when you think your maintenance is a lot higher, but it's been dropped. So that's when you hit that plateau mark to where you're not seeing any results. And what happens then? Then we're like, oh, I need to eat less food and move my body more. So therefore, we go into this other dip again. So this is how we go from eating 2,000 calories down to basically 1,000 calories very quickly. And we feel like we're seeing progress, and then you're going to crash because you don't have enough food, which is, we're going to talk about other things that are going to cause this. And then you hit that plateau again, and then the cycle continues because your body is constantly trying to keep up with what you're giving it. Because if it's constantly burning 2,000 calories where we were while we're giving it 1,000 calories, it's gonna basically stop functioning at some
Mm.
point, right? You can only survive so long on that. So that's why it's constantly working backwards to meet you where you're at, coming down in that caloric burn. Does that make sense the way I just explained all of that?
Yes, I think it was very it was not as scientific for some people. I know sometimes
Yeah, it
science
can,
gets people, so we have to put it in layman's terms for everyone to understand. Um, and I think I was gonna say, adding to that, like reality is like when you're at this plateau piece, that's when you should go up and not. continuously down.
Yeah, exactly. And that's just where diet culture has been like, oh, eat less, move more, eat less, move more. So we continuously eat less and move more. But yeah, you guys,
Right.
when you get, say you're down here with 1,000 calories, if you're feeling really good about yourself then when you get down here because you've just depleted yourself of so many calories. So of course, you've probably lost a lot of muscle mass, a lot of water weight. You probably lost some fat in there too, but it's not really the weight you want to lose. Then, whenever you decide, oh, I want to start eating more now because I'm maintaining it, you can't. This is your maintenance level. You're stuck here. So then you're stuck eating that small number of calories without being able to increase back up and maintain where you're at. And this is why you see so frequently people will lose the weight and then put it back on so easily because their body has naturally adapted to where they are rather than going the opposite direction and giving them more room to eat more food. So
Yep.
this is huge. And that's where what Serena was saying, where whenever you hit that kind of plateau, we need to start slowly increasing calories. And this is a very slow process. It's called a reverse diet. We are not going to go into a rabbit hole and go all about that today. I do have a training that I will, like the metabolic adaptation training, I'll drop it on the Facebook page for you guys to really educate yourself on that as well. But it's something we do with majority, almost all of our one-on-one clients at some point throughout our training, to get them to a point where you can lose the weight you want to lose that you think you're going to down here, but you're still eating this number of calories up here, and then you're maintaining it that way. And that's the ultimate goal, is to get you guys eating more food while building the body that you really want and maintaining it, of course. So that is one main reason why it is so important to keep your food intake up and remembering to eat. Because if we're constantly just taking away, taking away, taking away, it's really going to hurt us in the long run.
Yep, and I say that to our girls all the time. I'm like, okay, I'm like, make sure you eat today, please. Like, set a reminder on your phone or something. Because a lot of times when the girls come to us, moms specifically,
Busy.
they'll eat because they're super busy. They got to feed the kids, rightfully so. I understand. But where can we have that line of, all right, your kids are eating, it's your turn to eat too?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So that's the main thing as far as why we harp on constant consumption and also appropriate consumption for what your body is, because what Serena is eating might not be exactly what I need, and vice versa, and you and your neighbor or sister or whatever it is. So making sure that you educate yourself to know what you should be having and then keeping that up. So that's the main reason, but there are also other reasons, such as energy and cognitive function. These are the big two that I think of. Um, yeah, energy. Like, do you guys want to get to actually go move your body and do your workouts? You need to eat your food. Your body's not going to have the energy or the bandwidth to do that if we aren't consuming the proper amount of calories to get you there.
Yeah, food is energy, not the enemy.
Yeah, yeah.
I like to say,
Mhm.
because it's like you're not, yeah, like you said, you're not just not gonna have any energy to get to where you want to go or do anything.
Yeah,
You probably won't even have energy to run around with the kids anymore if you're eating, 900 calories to 1,000 calories per day. Sure,
right.
you might at the beginning, but then, 6 months in, you feel like a zombie.
Right, exactly. And I mean, we use car analogies all the time, but essentially it's the same thing as if you were trying to drive your car around town and go to the grocery store and grab something at Target and pick the kids up from school and stuff, and you would just never fill up your gas tank. Like, you
Mm.
eventually would not get there. You would be stalled out on the side of the road needing to call for help, and your body works the same way. So think of it as like gas. Um, and then
Yeah.
another rabbit hole we won't go into, but like the quality of food that you're consuming is like the number of quality of gas that you're putting into your car, right? Like if you drive a Range Rover and you're putting in like, what is it, like 86 or what, you need the premium gas for like the Range Rover is kind of what I'm getting for it, right? And so think of yourself as that Range Rover, putting in the premium gas to fuel yourself more properly. Everything's going to run smoother, things like that.
Right, because if you notice, and some of our girls say this too, like once they start eating a little bit cleaner, they actually realize they have more energy than they did when they were eating, a lot of prepackaged, pre-processed stuff. And I'm like, it's funny how that works.
Hear that all the time. Yeah, it's great.
So good. I would like to say as well, like it can help you prevent headaches because a lot of times we have people who suffer from headaches or migraines from not eating enough or forgetting to eat. Um, and then I think eating well and eating enough also helps you sleep better in
Yeah.
the long.
Oh, yeah. for
People
sure.
don't think about it, but like it all ties together in a neat little bow. And that's kind of like the capper there.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, sleep, that's a great point that you bring up. I'm glad you brought that up because if you go to bed, like there's this whole big misconception about like you can't eat after whatever it is, 7 p.m., 8 p.m., I forget the number. Um, and I would argue that like if you're going to bed hungry, where like your stomach's growling just because it's after 8 p.m., that's going to keep you up way more than the food that you have before going to bed. So I would much rather you have something before going to bed to where you're not starving because it's going to keep you up all night. You're going to be so restless. Even if you don't think like that's what's keeping you up, I promise you that's what's keeping you up. You just have not had enough fuel to get you through the night because think about like like breakfast in the morning, break fast. Like your body knows like that, like your circadian rhythm knows that that's the time like where we aren't going to be consuming food. That's why dinner is so important, or whatever you're having, if it's like a late night snack, whatever it is, depending on your schedule and stuff, is so important to get you to that point where you can then break your fast in the morning and your body gets going and boosts, kind of gets everything going again the next day.
Yeah. And if you don't eat enough, you're gonna want to sleep more. And then if you're not able to sleep more, it's just gonna be a huge cycle.
Yeah.
And yeah, and you're gonna feel like a zombie, and we don't want that for you.
Yeah. And this, I would say, like, if you're hearing all this and you're like, yep, yep, I do that, I do that, I do that, that's, you're not alone. So many women we talk to have been through this process. I have been through this process. I used to do this all the time. I think majority of us have, as just females in general in today's society, with the way diet culture is, it pushes this on us almost, which is heartbreaking because it's complete opposite of what we actually need. So if you have gone through this, don't beat yourself up about it. And also know that like going back to the metabolism thing, your metabolism's not like broken and can never be fixed. All right. There are ways to get that revved back up. And I like to say, like, let's get your metabolism set on fire because that's essentially what we really want to do. There are ways to do that. You're not unfixable. And we can get you back to a point where your body's naturally burning more calories. It's just a process that you have to do that takes time. And it's a very specific process. So I would not recommend doing it on your own. As I always say in these calls, like work with a coach, whether it be us or someone else. Um, I would rather you do it right than damaging it even more and going back the opposite direction and being even more frustrated.
Yeah, exactly. And I think just having patience throughout the process is gonna be the biggest key.
100%. Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. All right, you guys. Well, there was a lot of information packed in this one. Like I also mentioned to you guys, I'm going to throw up the metabolic adaptation training on the Facebook page. And then I'm also going to throw up a reverse dieting training just so you guys can educate yourself even more on those topics. If this is something that you feel like you need help with, as always, reach out or any questions, put them in the comments. We're always here and happy to help with any of that.
Yes, let us know, please.
All right, y'all. Well, hope you have a great weekend and we'll chat with you guys next week.
Bye.